The war ends with Ashura being the only person left in the world who can feel pain. At least, that is, after he kills Richie and Misty. I never really understood his outrage for that part. Why is it a betrayal for Richie and Misty to have a baby without telling him? It's not like Ashura was involved sexually with Misty to begin with, and her pregnancy would have been blatantly obvious after a while. That's not something you can keep a secret. But whatever, he executes Richie at once and suspends Misty's sentence for 9 months. Misty asks why, and Ashura answers, "Because I don't harm the innocent." I love this part. He's evil as hell, yet even he knows abortion is wrong. Anyway, Ashura puts himself in charge of pain. You know, in a way, I can see how he perceives his intentions as noble. The entire theme of these stories has been focused mostly on Ash's pain. He's been through the entire spectrum of physical pain, guilt, family betrayal, mind rape, self-doubt, and so on. Despite his age, he's pretty well qualified in that department. Sacrificing the free world for the assurance that nobody will ever feel pain again is probably a worthy cause in the mind of an insecure child with ultimate power. I understand. I don't agree, but I get it. Misty's baby, which Ashura also names Misty, turns out to be the pure one of the prophecy. I haven't included any of the chapter titles in my reading, but Dragoness makes some good choices, especially here. It's titled Learning to Love Again, and Ashura becomes tender and protective as he raises little Misty as his daughter. After all the destruction and carnage, I felt this part was too short to adequately develop the change of heart. Here's why. Immediately after this, Misty dies in a freak storm. Dragoness practically spends as many words on Ashura's lamentation as she does actually developing Misty's character. I can't really feel that bad about this particular loss, because I've known characters like Mrs. Ketchum and Nikiro from the beginning. Misty just got here, and yet she's getting all the tears that Mayo should have gotten. Yeah, I'm pissed that nobody was crying at Mayo's grave. This is the climax of the whole story, but I doubt anyone could have predicted it. Any supporting character could have been in Misty's place, and been the pure one that finally made Ashura weep and repent. Well, no sense dwelling on it anymore. A deus ex machina flies in the picture, in the form of Celebi, and she gives Ash a chance to fix everything that he's done. The answer is time travel. Go back to the moment that everything changes in episode 79 of Pokemon, bearing a few seconds of future memories. With nothing left to lose, Ash goes with it, and the next thing he knows, he's in the back of Team Rocket's truck being hauled off to base. He escapes by having Squirtle fill the truck with water, and it seems his mind is only on the match he's supposed to be having with Richie. However, he experiences a brief flash of memory and gets the gut feeling that he's done something right. Thus ends the story, back where it first began. I think it's pretty neat when authors do that, if they do it right. Since I've pretty much given all the commentary and critique I intended during the summary of this plot, I suppose all that's left to do is a couple last-minute nitpicks and rate the story out of 10. As I've said all along, I think Dragoness is an outstanding writer, or else I wouldn't have taken on this project. That said, there are quirks in her style that sometimes made it hard to read. The most immediately obvious one is the sheer number of ellipses, or dots, that permeate her writing. Perhaps she wanted to set the impression that her characters were constantly thinking about what they wanted to say, but man, those things were everywhere. Then there were the parts where Ash was thinking, and the parts where he would speak out loud. Often I would have trouble distinguishing between the two, because as a Mew, Ash always spoke to humans telepathically. I ended up having to do several takes over because of these. Finally, there was Dragoness's habit of calling all Pokemon its. Even when that's correct to do with genderless Pokemon like Mewtwo, it still sounds weird when identifying the Pokemon by name. I usually went with it, but now and then I'd automatically say he when referring to Pokemon like Pikachu and Persian. This didn't bother me much, but it was a recurring thing. Alright, time for the rating out of 10. I'd give it a 7. The characters are engaging and the concepts are deep and thought-provoking, but there were too many instances of lost focus. Dragoness originally began Everything Changes with nothing but curiosity of what would happen if she changed one thing in an episode. This was the result. We get descriptiveness of situations that is well thought out, though perhaps not in a continuity that is always thought through. The tragedy genre is generally not my cup of tea, but I was impressed. Still not as good as Phoenix Rising. Anyway, that's it from me. I went twice as long as I intended to, but if you're still listening, then I must be saying something worth hearing. Thanks for joining me, and as always, you can read more stories like this at the Pokemon Tower.